If you love the space of an SUV, but you don't want to upgrade to a 3-row or minivan looking type SUV, then this Atlas Cross Sport is for you. This Cross Sport is Volkswagen 2-row, 5-seat version of the Atlas with a little bit of design tweaks as well, and it's not quite as big as some 3-row vehicles, but it's got a massive back seat and excellent storage. In this video, we're going to take a detailed look at this mid-trim level Atlas Cross Sport, go for a test drive, and check everything out. Let's get started. All right, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. Let's start with these exterior details. So first of all, this Atlas Cross Sport is based off of the bigger 3-row Atlas. It's 2.8 inches shorter and 2.3 inches lower, so it's definitely got a squatted design. This is the mid-level SE trim with the tech package, so you're going to find kind of a mid-range option here. I have an SEL review if you want to see that, but check out this front end. It still looks very similar to the Atlas. It's a little bit more aggressive overall, similar to the Atlas's refresh. You've got that 3-bar grille running across. You've got LED daytime running lights and LED high and low beams as well. They give you a little trim piece at the bottom for a little bit of a different fascia, and you've even got some air curtains, some little openings right under the headlight. You still get a regular bulb turn signal, but these headlights have what's called all-weather lights. The little interior section acts kind of like a fog light and a cornering light. This paint color is a pretty deep blue paint. It's called Tourmaline Blue Metallic, and it's paired with these massive 20-inch bright wheels. This is just like the SEL, so even this trim level is going to give you these big wheels, and it kind of matches the overall big haunches on the wheel wells. Dimensionally, even though this is smaller than the 3-row Atlas, it's still 196 inches long, which is just as big as some other 3-rows, but it's got 8 inches of ground clearance, which is respectable if you're going to end up actually taking this thing off-road. On the top, you'll see that you have the option to have some crossbars, some roof rails, but coming to the back, you've got a very steep rake. This is where you start to cut a lot of space off compared to the regular Atlas. You're going to get LED taillights, even an LED turn signal as well, and it still says Atlas, as you'll notice on the back, right under the Volkswagen emblem, and then the SEV6 badge. And typical Volkswagen, there's no exposed exhaust outlets. Now moving to the back, even though we're not at the top trim level, we still have a foot activated, hands-free lift gate. You can do that to open or close it, and there's a button and a grab handle right up above. But this is one big perk of getting this over some other vehicles, some other 2-rows, is that since it's a longer 2-row, you've got a ton of space back here. You've got 40 cubic feet behind the second row. It's very wide. It's more than what the numbers say, because you have to count the fact that you've got a very steep rake. So that essentially cuts into the cubic volume, but the actual square surface space right here is excellent. I mean, you can throw a bunch of stuff on here. You've got little areas on the side for cubbies. You've got these on each side, which are excellent grocery bag hooks or cargo nets. You've got a light on each side, and you've got a couple of anchors to tie things down as well. Plus, you get a 12-volt power outlet, so you're good with plugging things in. You can get a cargo cover as well, and you've got a spare tire in here standard, and there's a ton of space in here to go with it, so you could stash like a first aid kit or jumper cables or whatever you need. My only complaint is that in order to fold those seats down, there's no lever back here. You have to go up to the second row to do it. It's a very easy process though, and watch the bottom of the seat. It starts to move forward and down, which is going to give you a super flat load floor. It's actually flatter than what that is, which is crazy, but you got a 60-40 split. I wish we had a middle pass-through. I think the Tiguan gives us one of those, but then you get about 78 cubic feet overall with a super flat area, and you've got a pretty tall roof, so you can stack stuff in here galore. All right, so let's look at the key fob. Volkswagen gives us the smart key system where you can open up the lift gate, and you can open up, or you can remote start. It's a very slim key fob, fits into your pocket very well. And the way this works is there's a little line on here. You can just touch that and it will lock. Otherwise, there's a sensor in the back. And the thing that I really appreciate is with a family loading kids or groceries, this one has the same sensors in it. So you can access the second row without even touching your key fob as well. Not all vehicles do all doors like that. But then taking a look inside, this mid-trim level SE is going to give us synthetic leather seats. So it's not real leather. It does have little perforations on it, but I like this two-tone. This has a really nice look to it. Even this trim or this edge on the seat almost has like this carbon fiber-esque look. And these are just classic Volkswagen seats. The design, the comfort, the support, you've got a little bit of bolstering on the sides and on the butt. And then power adjustments are the typical two-way lumbar support, and then you got height and tilt adjustment there. The steering wheel is also a synthetic leather. It's not heated and it's not full leather. It's kind of got a different texture to it because it is synthetic. You've got manual tilt and telescoping there too. The biggest takeaway with these seats in the front row is it's just very spacious. It's really wide. You've got excellent shoulder room, elbow room, and just a lot of room overall. Now these seats are heated on this model. If you want leather and ventilation and memory settings, you're gonna have to move up in trim level. Now moving to the back seat, so this is where things get really spacious and really fun. You got the same synthetic seats here. You've got the same kind of little bolstering on the side, but this is just a massive space back here. First of all, over on the door, we've got hard touch plastics up here, but you do still get a soft armrest and material just like up front. But then this door has really good cubbies and storage, which could be great for families. Now take a look at this. That's a rear facing car seat, and I can sit it behind where I like to sit. I'm 5'9" and not have any problem at all. So you can fit people comfortably. I've had a front passenger with no complaints, and there's still plenty of space right there. But this is where you're getting your money. Look at the foot space, the knee space. I can just like lounge out completely and be totally happy and satisfied. Like I said, I'm 5'9", so tall people, you can sit in here, you can have whatever you want for family back here. It's just massive. It's even more space than the regular two-row Atlas because they took away a little bit of cargo space to move these seats back. You also get air conditioning vents, a little storage area. You've got a 3-prong outlet and 2 USB charging ports. Plus for comfort, check it out. You got this folding armrest with a little bit of padding and some bottle holders on here as well. Headroom is also good. I can sit up tall and I can recline, so you can really lounge out. The back seat is the complete top wow factor feature of this Atlas Cross Sport. The only thing is these seats don't scoot forward and backwards because when you fold the seats down, they actually kind of tuck into the floor a little bit, so it gives you more cargo space. Now hopping inside, these Volkswagen interiors are nothing really that have a wow factor, but they're very practical, and I think that's the biggest takeaway. They're easy to live with, they're comfortable, and they're practical. So first of all, over on the door, you're gonna get soft materials up above, kind of a nice looking mattish trim piece, and then this nice material down here, and a big soft armrest and grab handle, and good storage down below. In fact, my tall, wide bottle fits in there no problem. Like I said, the steering wheel is synthetic, but you've got all the controls that you need. You've even got automatic rain sensing windshield wipers, and then push button start is down here. Push that. Then you've got a small display there, Volkswagen display over here. So right in front of us, if you want Volkswagen's all digital cockpit from left to right, you'll have to move up in trim level. The SEL that I showed you had that. Otherwise, this is fairly basic. I shouldn't say basic because this can still show you a whole bunch of different information. It's just going to be in a much smaller place. Then going over here, I really like Volkswagen's dash pad up there. So it's textured as well. It's got like a rubber liner so you can set stuff and it won't slide around. It's soft. It's just a good place to store little items or sunglasses. Now right here is Volkswagen's 8-inch screen. You've got a physical volume knob, a tuning knob, and then touch sensitive buttons on the sides, but this actually has wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You don't have to plug in to be able to connect. And this is very easy to use. It's probably not my favorite system, but it's still very simple. Now, as you see it, the bottom screen, or the bottom part of the screen, things disappear, but then when you bring your hand closer, things reappear. But I've dove further into these systems before, or Volkswagen system before, if you want to check my other videos. You've got dual zone climate control right here with heated seat buttons. This is also very simple and easy to use and read. I like all the physical buttons on here. If we go into reverse, we've got a crispy clear backup camera. Oh, there's a little cobweb on there. But this is very clear, it's easy to see. There's just no 360 camera on this model. Just down a little lower, Volkswagen actually gives you a 12-volt power outlet, 2 USB-C charging ports, and a wireless charging mat. It's nice to see that wireless charging mat since you can have wireless CarPlay. Cup holders are good size. I've had no complaints with those, and they're in a good location. Traditional shifter, push button start. Then you have a parking brake, but you don't have brake hold on here, but you still get brake or parking sensors. One nice thing is that in most two rows, the armrest is much smaller, but this is a massive, wide and long armrest. Open up, you've got an extra USB port in there, and just a big storage area overall. Volkswagen also gives you a lock-in glove box. That's good size. They give you an automatic dimming rearview mirror, but this is the kind that has the border around it that does not dim. So there's a lot of that mirror that's not actually automatic dimming, which can be kind of annoying. And then you've got sunglass holders, but we don't have the roof in here. The SEL, the sunroof, the SEL that I had the panoramic roof, if you want to see what that looks like. And this visor is absolutely massive as well. It pulls out and it can slide, so you've got excellent coverage with that. Now, visibility out of here isn't too bad either. You definitely have a squatted design in the back, which can hinder that. But compared to other crossovers, this is just in line with those. The Atlas Cross Sport can come with two different engine options, a V6 or 4-cylinder turbo, and this one comes with the well-known Volkswagen 3.6 liter V6. This V6 is solely direct injected. It puts out 276 horsepower and 266 pound-feet of torque paired with an 8-speed automatic transmission, and we'll get it out on the road in just a sec. It can come in front-wheel drive standard or their 4Motion all-wheel drive. This is front-wheel drive, and the efficiency is pretty crappy compared to other 3-row and 2-row vehicles, even with this much power. Miles per gallon is going to be 17 city and 23 highway, and you'll lose 1 mpg if you go for the all-wheel drive. So there's definitely a sacrifice with the efficiency here, but this is a very smooth powertrain. Let's get it out on the road. All right, everyone, let's get going on the test drive of this Atlas Cross Sport. Now, I've got different feelings about this vehicle. For the most part, I like it as a daily driver. It's a comfortable cruiser. It's got a decent ride. The one complaint that I have for the most part about the drivability is just the way that the steering feels. It feels like a bigger vehicle, and the steering just feels very flimsy and almost a little bit too touchy in a sense. I complained about this with the Atlas, and I got a lot of flack for it, and it's kind of the same way, pretty much the same way with this. Some of you are gonna love it, so you're gonna have to test this out for yourself. It's just really light, but I feel really disconnected from the road to where I feel like I have to make more corrections than needed, but it's just a small complaint. So you'll have to test it out for yourself. Some people love the light steering, some people hate the light steering. It's just something you have to test out for yourself. Now, one thing that I appreciate is the smoothness of this powertrain. The Volkswagen VR V6. And this is just partial throttle, but it gets you up to speed pretty quickly. The one takeaway though is that it's not efficient, and it doesn't have nearly as much power as some other V6s or even turbocharged smaller engines as well. But pickup is still good. Pedal down. And this isn't quite as big as the Atlas, which can have this engine. So you've got a really responsive and peppy powertrain for a vehicle of this size. And back to the handling characteristics and aspect. For the most part, I'm fine with it, but I would change it if I could. But it handles fairly well. It's actually more flat in the corners than you would probably expect, more so, and has a little bit more of a planted feel than the Atlas, I would say. It's also a little bit lower, not lower to the ground, but lower in terms of its body height. But that might make a difference as well. Ride comfort in here is good. However, it does have large 20-inch wheels, and there are times when you hit some bumps where you're like, wow, I really felt that. And it probably has to do with the fact that you have massive wheels in here. But for the most part, ride comfort is very good. It feels smooth. and it just feels substantial. It feels solid, and it feels well built as well. This whole interior just has a nice solid structural feel to it, which I really appreciate, and it's simple and easy to live with. From a day-to-day driving aspect, I've hauled some family around in here. I absolutely love the back seat. It's so spacious, and my front passenger can have all the space that they want as well. And getting up to interstate speeds is not a problem with this V6. And just partial throttles, you're not going to be quite as peppy as a turbo model, a turbo substitute, but this has quite a bit more power than Volkswagen's own 2-liter turbo that can also be in this Atlas Cross Sport. As always with different vehicles, I like to talk about road noise. There's some road noise in here, but it's not bad at all. Volkswagen doesn't give you laminated glass, even in the SEL trim that I had before, but it seems to be a little bit thicker. Wind noise isn't bad, road noise isn't bad. It's about average. I would say it's good, but not great. You know, I've been satisfied with it, and you can converse with people in here without too much trouble on different surfaced roads too. But let's go ahead and close things out on this Atlas Cross Sport and give you my final thoughts. So to wrap things up on this Volkswagen Atlas Cross Sport, if you don't want 3 rows, if you don't want something quite as big as the Atlas, you want a big back seat and good storage and still a bigger vehicle than most 2 rows, this is the one for you. It's still a big vehicle. I mean, this is still just as big as some 3-row vehicles, except it doesn't have the 3rd row. And it's still priced similarly to some 3-row vehicles as well. So that's something you got to consider, but it's smooth, it's refined, it's very spacious, and it's pretty simple. And the wow factor isn't really with anything except the back seat space. But let me know what your thoughts are down below. If you want to see one with a little bit more bells and whistles, I've got one with the SEL, so be sure to check that out in the description below. And the Atlas as well, the full-size 3-row Atlas. But thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.